Hello everybody, Mike from Mike's Homestead. Basically staying here by the fire, and I was sitting here thinking, I wanted to show you guys, this is one of my primary sources of heat in my house here. This buggy right here is what you call a king. This is actually the third wood burner I've had in this house since I moved here in '97. And the king here is pretty well efficient. It's EPA, it's all regulated, it's a baffled system. Basically, if you look down there on the ground, them two logs right there, that'll last almost an hour, just some couple logs there. This thing right now, well, we can give you a rough idea, is I have a fancy little temperature gauge. Center of the stove is reading 301 degrees. This thing has a blower on the back of it, so you can feel the heat blowing out of it. And your pipe's roughly, like my middle pipe there is 186, the elbow is 147, as you get up 137, and by the time it gets up to the top 104. That's about what it averages. You'll notice your pipe temperature is a little higher when you first start the stove, but as the fire brick starts to retain the actual heat, the pipe itself will start to cool off a little bit and the stove will warm up. Roughly, I want to say it is like 40-something, 45 degrees outside right now. And we'll just make a quick little beeline right over here to the temperature gauge in the house, and we are at 69 right now in the house. So that's pretty good temperature. Like I said, it's about 45 degrees right now, and basically the walls of the house start getting warm and stuff, and this place stays warm all day. If you also look, I see there's a Christmas tree there, but when I laid the windows out in this cabin, there's a big window there behind the tree. The tree sucks it all up, and another window there, and another window there. This is the south end of the house, so roughly about 10:30 the sun starts hitting this window, and that's 10:30 in the morning, sorry. And by I would say roughly throughout the day, I don't even run the wood burner because the house will stay at about 68 to 70 degrees through most of the day. Now it's December, sun's going down about 4 o'clock, so it starts cooling off fast. I just relit this wood burner, I don't know, it had to have been about 45 minutes ago already. And the temperature, like I said, was 69. It was roughly about 67 when I lit the wood burner. So it's already gone up, I don't know, about 45 minutes, about 2 degrees in the house already. And, it pretty well maintains pretty well. Now, one of the things that I do is, right here's my front door, I have a little wood station out here. It's a little hard to see, but this is where I kind of stockpile a little bit of wood so anybody in the family could just come along and grab it. I know it's dark. It's a little cheesy wood splitter there. And I got my fancy axe or just banging on the floor, and I could split some wood there. But that's where I stockpile. And then I got stages of wood piles out in the yard because I season my wood pretty well. But yeah, that's just kind of showing you this is the main heat source, plus the windows. That really made a big difference when I did that about 7 years ago. And I'll show you a little bit more what else I got going on as far as my other furnace. Now what I got here is pretty much your traditional old style furnace. This was put in when I first moved here. The only furnace in this house was a radiant heater that sat in a living room that ran off of I believe it was a propane tank out in the yard. And first thing we did is put a wood burner in, and then we added this furnace. Now, 15 years ago, this furnace, I believe I paid like $400 or $500 for it. It's probably a little out of date, but to be honest with you, it doesn't really run a whole lot. Being as old as it is, this thing's still pretty new. I mean, I have gone through it and changed a few parts on it, but for the most part, I get up around 5:36 in the morning. I light the wood stove. The house stays warm you know, roughly 70 degrees all the way up until about 10 o'clock, like I said before, and then the sun comes out. I let that stove fade out, which it stays warm. The stove itself stays warm till about 2 o'clock. And then roughly about 4:30, I relight it, and I let it burn till I'm usually up till about midnight, somewhere around there. I'll throw a couple logs on there, and I know it'll burn for at least an hour and a half really good after that, and then probably about a half hour, 45 minutes, it'll start to lose heat. So that's when this furnace kicks on. Roughly at about 2:33 in the morning, it kicks on and runs till about 5:36 in the morning. And be honest with you, the house, if it holds the heat well enough, this thing, you'd be lucky if it even kicks on. It's just basically a backup heater so we don't wake up freezing in the morning. Well, I guess the only thing I can really say left in this video is kind of where I get my wood at. So I guess it all starts back roughly about 20 years ago. Like I said, I've always been around wood burners. So like I want to say one of my first houses, first thing I did was put a wood burner in. And I actually bought, I want to say it was right around a 10-acre lot up north. And it was full oaks and walnuts and stuff. And that's pretty much where I've been getting a lot of my wood from for a long time. But up until roughly about 2000, 2001, I actually met a guy in the local area that owns a wood processing business. He sells firewood. And I really didn't want to spend money on firewood because that kind of defeats the whole purpose. So what I did is him and I made an exchange. I would work on his equipment, make sure all his chainsaws worked, and you know his splitters and his trucks, and I just kept everything working. And this guy kept delivering chunks of trees in my yard, so it worked out really good up until he retired about 3-4 years ago. But in that time, about 8 years ago, my girlfriend, her father actually is in the tree trimming business. So once I had talked to him and I had told him that my guy kind of disappeared, he's like, "Oh, really?" He goes, "We just throw stuff in the wood chipper." So I would say like about once a month he brings me about 2-3 truckloads of oaks and walnuts and good wood too. So it saves me a time from having to go and split or cut down whole trees and have to drag all that stuff back. So that's about all I can really say. You got to keep the wood cheap, and it's just trying to save the money, and that's what it's all about here. So you guys have a good one. If you got any questions about the stove, how to light it, how to whatever, anything you want to know about wood stoves, like I said, I've been around it all my life. If you got any questions about that, or maybe how the house is heated, or whatever you got, any questions at all, feel free to ask. If you got any comments, please leave them. I guess that's it. You guys take it easy. I'll see you later. Bye.